Good morning. So let's just take some deep breaths. Let's just get centered. That's such a yoga phrase. Let's get centered and grounded. I'm like, I don't like to be centered and grounded. I like to fly. But let's at least get some oxygen in us. If you need to move, if you have one part of your body that's movable, let's just get some flow in our body. And part of my movement is, yes, I just had a shock at about 2 minutes after 11, and I was like, oh, he responded that way. So I'm recovering right now. He can have his opinions. So get some oxygen in. Tell that oxygen to go all over the body, all over your cells, and set the stage for everything that goes on in your body is the right thing. When your psyche, when your brain is at peace, everything that follows, everything that shows up in your body is right. It's our biology. It's just trying to help us, but we don't always understand it. So it starts with a breath. So when challenges keep coming, you just bring it back. You always have your breath until you don't. And then it doesn't matter. Because we're all on the list. Susan's laughing. She's like, yep, take me now. And I'm not joking. She said that. So, all right. Do we feel energized? Our cells are, anyway, okay. So does anybody have a good story of the week? Something they're very proud of? If they want to share? They're like searching. Nope. Nope. We're still on Earth.
I have a short story.
Okay.
I had a conversation with my mom, and it was not very nice. And a few years ago, I would have got off the phone and just cried. But this time, I didn't cry. I just took some breaths, I did some journaling, and I just kept moving forward.
Mhm.
But that's my story.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so amazing how we can grow and then recognize our growth. It's like, wow, I thought about that as a topic today, is recognizing growth.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
am experiencing it. Well, the incident happened not yesterday morning. So I haven't, I'm still doing okay with it. Just processing every once in a while. I'll get a flash of the conversation. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I do some tricks I have with the Ho'oponopono.
Mm-hmm.
I'm holding my fingers with Jin Shin and journaling and
Okay.
laundry and
Can
trying.
you, I don't know the Jin Shin. Can you teach us?
You don't know Jin Shin, dear?
Nobody ever told me. It's like, you don't know GNM? You don't know?
Oh, Jin Shin is
Who
the
knows Jin Shin? Am I the only one? Michelle, no? Jessica, no. All right. And Michelle's been around the block too. All right. Barb and Susan, no. Okay. What's Jin Shin?
Jin Shin is a self-care method of self acupressure, just using your fingertips.
Okay.
And the idea, there's many different authors. Which one do you know, Barb? Who do you know that does Jin Shin, the original author?
I don't I don't know that exactly, but I was in Kelly Brogan's group for a while and she mentioned it once, like, I know, I think holding the thumb, I can't remember which way for anxiety. The other ones have different things too. I don't know who it was from.
Yeah. And what do you know, Susan?
Oh, she knows. She
You're
knows
muted.
not to speak.
Muted.
Muted.
You're still muted.
Okay, so can you hear me now?
Yes.
Um, the lady that originated it was Japanese, so it's a Japanese art, and it just opens channels that are blocked in the same way, in a similar way that acupuncture does. Just you have these channels that are blocked, and I I used to go and get treatments for it because I had some a hard time getting pregnant, and um, so I went for that, and it totally worked. I mean, I attribute it to that because that I mean, you just use a penny weight, a penny weight, right, like the weight of a penny on this point, and the practitioner, and you can do it on yourself, like you mentioned. It's like a battery cable where you connect 2 points on the body for the energy to kind of be invited. And I don't know, I had success with it. I have the books and everything, but
Okay.
I don't remember.
So it's hand finger acupuncture, self-care acupressure, acupressure. All right.
Yeah, there's 26. Like I've been studying it as long as I've been studying German New Medicine and the keys of Enoch for about 30 years. And if there's 26 safety energy locks in the body, and they are all the places where if you access them with a light touch and another spot as well, you theoretically come into communion with yourself and the divine and pay attention to those spots. So you might notice that the pulse is very fast, or you might notice that the pulse is slow, or the pulse is not there. So it's that communion in the acupressure of giving yourself the acupressure that brings you to that point. So putting the attention on it allows the potentially trapped energy to dissipate. And each point of the 26 energy locks have a emotional and social, theoretical, spiritual, divine component. And at different points in your life, you will encounter situations in each of those points. So one of the best people online right now, I think, is Astrid Kaufman. I put her in the chat. All of her stuff is free. She shows little videos on how to address things. She has a fantastic index that you can go to by symptom. And it really is a beautiful, inexpensive, important way to simply just be in communion with yourself and the divine. And then it translates into the physical modifications once you have participated in that.
No, nobody ever told me. Or I wasn't ready to hear it. No, this is my virgin ears.
Oh, it's such a beautiful practice. And it starts in a moment of despair because you just don't know what else to do. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, everybody, for sharing too.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So
It's
just
so polite aren't we?
we are so polite.
We're
Okay.
such a polite group. Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit about my story about we're going to talk about blood and how when you don't. So I woke up. Well, where do I start? Woke up this this morning at 12:30, and I was like, wow, I'm really wide awake a lot earlier than usual. I was like, oh, let's go to the bathroom. And I went, and it was bright red in my toilet. I peed, and it was bright red. And I was like, well, finally, my marking conflict. So I was like, I know there's a few programs that run in the urinary that have like pain and burning and blood. So I was like, okay, it's one of them. I've been waiting for you for a couple years because moving into a house and renovating and having problems with the construction guy, like there were a lot of territorial issues about my home. And yesterday, my daughter came, and we had the first meal, my first family gathering with her family um, in the home. So as I was first like looked and went, yay. My first response was yay. Why would I say yay seeing blood in the toilet?
Because it means you resolved a conflict, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's such a
There's no part of you that freaked out first?
zero, zero. No. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, that's pretty bright. It wasn't just like a little. So I then had over the course of from 12:30 to about 5:30, I had 6 other P's, and the peak of it. So let me share this with you, because when we really, really understand this and can visualize, like, okay, we have a symptom, and all the rest become predictable. So when we have symptoms such as pain and blood when you pee, um, it's like that happened at 12:30, and then 1:30 and 2:30, and this is when I blew out a little clot. It wasn't a huge one. It was small enough I could feel it moving out. And so that was the epicrisis about 3:30. And wide awake, I was actually cleaning my room for the first time in 6 months, my bedroom. So, because that's been where everything landed. So I was like, I'm up for a reason, so I might as well just start doing this. So this was like, this right here is the vagatonic. I'm tired. After Morgan left, I took a 2 hour nap. I woke up, I ate, and I did quiet. Oh, I tried to fix my cell phone. It's not working. So if you're trying to call me, you can't. And I can't call you. So I did that quiet.
You didn't get all the text I sent you?
No.
No, I know, I'm serious. Okay.
No, I don't know.
Right.
If you didn't get a reply, I didn't get them.
Okay.
So I did quiet stuff in the night, and then I had a couple hours of sleep, and then 12:30 I wake up and pee and blood, pee and more blood, pee and the peak of blood, and then it started settling down. And I was watching to see like when I reached the epicrisis, because I didn't know if this was going to be like I'm finally in my home, which is like a 7 year conflict, or if it was something recent. I knew the theme. I had the confidence that my body could do this. I was like, I'm very curious how heavy this is going to get. But I'm like, just go and go and go. And by the time 1:30 came around, I was like, okay, it's settling down and down and down. And about 5:30, I had a pee that I could not see any blood. There probably were traces of blood, but and then I'm waiting for the vagatonic, and I had a little itchy burny, but I also had 2 cups of coffee in there. I did have right around 5 o'clock. I had like a 10-minute window of I'm tired, but I was right in the middle of something and I couldn't lay down on my bed because it was I was organizing on it. So I don't know if that was just a short vagatonic. It kind of felt a little too short because then I had my energy again. But I basically just watched my symptoms go up and then settle back down and then drop in and it's over. And I had a little itchy, like if I could have one of those, um, you clean pipe cleaner. If I could have a pipe cleaner and clean up my urethra, I think it's my urethra program that was running. Um, but that right now is almost gone. But I was really surprised that the physical symptoms were pretty minor, but the blood was, there was a lot of blood in there. I was really, like, I've never had that much blood in my toilet other than menstruating, obviously. So when we know that peaks of healing sometimes have blood in them, we want to prepare so that event of seeing blood doesn't be its own little thing, which is spleen. Blood conflict can affect the spleen. So I like to, like when I first learned GNM, I was like, I kind of scanned all the programs to know just the general theme. I didn't memorize at that point, I couldn't. But I was like, oh, and this. So bleeding's good, bleeding's good, bleeding's good, bleeding's good. Reprogram that. And then picture myself sitting on the toilet, pooping and having blood come out, or sitting on the toilet, peeing and having blood coming out, or a nosebleed. So I worked my psyche so it was prepared for any of those scenarios, because when you are prepared, you're not going to panic. And if you don't panic, water doesn't go to the site, the kidney collecting tubules. Because if water goes to the site, you're going to have worse symptoms. So water will be in the blood, so it will look like a lot more blood, which can trigger more panic. So the power of this knowledge can save your life, can really save your life. Michelle.
Yeah, I have. So I was kept thinking about this. By the way, my pinky is still a little numb. Okay. 5 days later, but so is it like, say, I have frontal fear constellation. That is true. So is it a good idea to prepare ourselves emotionally and mentally for the possibility of conflict shocks, such as, I have 5 children, five young adult children. Do I keep? I'm not staying like in a hyper vigilant state, but going, something could happen, like, a hurricane. Yeah, it might land on top of us and we might flood. So is it a good idea to prepare ourselves for the possibility of conflicts on a daily basis so that we don't have the shocks?
Well, I say prepare for those because that's reality. And you're not just talking about you. It's like you put yourself in the long line of humans and go, we are all susceptible to hurricanes, to weather, to Mother Nature when she gets angry. So how, because remember, the unexpected shock, the unexpected event is something that catches us off guard. We're alone with it. We don't have a plan. That's the critical piece. So if we run through scenarios, like once I learned this, and I remember doing it in this living room, is I was like, oh, so panicking, like getting the phone call in the middle of the night, waking you up out of that really deep sleep. Before you pick up the phone, you just go, okay, this could be one of my loved ones. I know that they have their own soul journey, and I trust God or universe or whatever you want to call it to be able to, that this is perfectly perfect for what this soul or our soul family needs to go through. So my role in this is to just be and love. I can handle any news and it's okay. So that sort of programming, and whether you do it daily. Now, if you're living in a constant state of, oh no, that freaks me out. I mean, when the things come up, I say work on it. It's just like live your life, get busy in your life. And when those things come up that capture your attention, you don't have to go back and dig up and nope, you just go, you know what? There's a new story here. There is a new strategy, because when that happened initially, I was 10 years old. I'm not the same person. I don't need to think from the same perspective as that time frame. So from a 50-year-old's perspective, this is what I think about it. I don't need to worry, because worry is just praying for what we don't want. So why would I do that now? So I would say just give it the attention when it comes up and it affects your daily living. You're just like, okay, this has kind of got a hold on me. How can I change perspective? How can I? And I usually don't compare to the world, but in these instances I do, because we're just one human being in what, trillions? I don't know, that are all having our own little experience. So when we can take it out from our drama, I'll be dramatic on that, then it kind of just, it can relax the psyche. But the thing is, you have a plan. Like, oh, if a tornado comes through, I'm going to Deanna's. She might even come and get me. Because remember, caught on the wrong foot. I never saw this coming. And I'll give you this example. I sent out a heartfelt note to somebody in my world, and it was really more of a thank you with a little bit of just, I'm still a little confused about what happened in our relationship, but 90% of it, 95% of it in my mind was thank you for helping me out. And what I got back was it was a little shocking and a little dramatic response of a lot of negative words. But before I sent it, I said, this could come back negatively. And I probably should have done a little bit more work on that, because my hands went immediately cold. And I felt it in my body. I felt it like in my chest and in my belly. And I was like, oh, okay. He's not to put it on that person, but they're still constellated and they're still. So I use GNM as a reframe also. And I have ownership in my relationships. This is not about putting it just, oh, they're constellated. No, but understanding that dynamic, and somebody that's constellated in an aggressive constellation, there's not a whole lot of empathy. There's not a whole lot of, I don't know, understanding, right. No apologies. So we got to keep our expectations down. So anyway, obviously I need to move my body on that. That's really funny that I just want to move. So anyway, that's my story on bleeding and preparing for shocks in specific blood, but also in general to just our kind of bumpy ride here on Earth. And you can also do it with pain. Like when I have programmed myself that when I have pain, I make a really high laughing noise and I just start laughing. I'm like, woo, I felt that one. Because otherwise the pain can really take over. So playing with your symptoms is a critical piece of, and knowing that, I mean, if you wake up at 12:30 and you just had a really good day after a long stressor, it's a good chance that you're waking up with a symptom. So it's like, oh, I wonder what's coming. Oh, yay. Is it going to be this? Am I going to sneeze? Am I going to cough? Am I going to shit my pants? Like, it's like, bring it on. I'm ready for a healing. So, Susan, you had a question or a comment?
Because interestingly, I had a nosebleed this morning when I was in bed and just waking up, and I felt like my nose was running, which is not how I usually am. I'm usually very stuffy.
Yep.
I never have to blow my nose. I wish I could, but I put my finger up there and I'm like, what? Oh my God. And it was a lot. And I sat up and the bright red color and everything. So I just chalked it up to change in barometric pressure. Because all of a sudden it's a little chilly here. It was in the 50s overnight in Florida, and so that's new, and that's what I chalked it up to. And then
Susan, does the weather change now that it's cold in Florida? Was that
where I am?
Stink?
Yes.
Does that stink?
Does it stink?
Yes. Yeah, so your nosebleed was your epicrisis from a stink conflict.
You think?
Yeah.
Because I looked it up and it just from a stink conflict.
Absolutely.
It can be a scent or a stink conflict. Let's play with this for a moment, if you'd like.
Yeah.
What nostril?
What is this? My right one.
Your right one. Okay. So it's in the category of a separation conflict. So it is the peak of healing. So let me just share again our little fancy G&M compass. It is the peak of healing. So it can be about, actually, when I do my coaching, I try not to give the theme because then we're pigeonholing our stories around the theme. What went right yesterday? Or did you have a good sleep last night for the first time?
No.
No, it was.
I mean, it wasn't bad, but I slept very superficially.
Yeah.
Oh, Michelle's leaving already. So,
sorry, ladies. Well, I'm going to the pool. Good luck.
Yeah. She has a long time at the pool. Thank you, Michelle.
Have a beautiful day.
You too.
Talk to you later, Barb. And I'll try to message you somehow, Deanna. Bye.
Use Messenger.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Right.
I wonder how many messages I missed.
So what went right? I had a nice day. A lot of conversation.
Anybody, any family members? Oh, time out for cuteness. We have a deer in a puddle. Hold on. We have a deer. Oh dear. Let's see if we can capture the deer. He's literally hiding right behind the tree. Let's see.
Where?
Where is he? Wait, over there. He is right. Right there.
Oh yeah, I see it. Cool.
Oh, he's got little nubs on his little head. Hi, cutie.
Nice.
There we go. Time out for cuteness. Time out for life.
I had some disconcerting news from a family member yesterday that made me worry, and not worry. I try not to worry too much, but it had me concerned. So even though it was a nice day and I had other, my ex-husband was here and Diane, my friend Diane was here, and we were sitting outside. It was a beautiful day. but then I got some upsetting news. I don't know if that might have something to do with it.
You had upsetting news and resolved it although a bloody nose sounds like it's a little heavier, longer. Usually a stink conflict, you have a sneeze. But if it's more longer and more intense, you have a bloody nose in the peak of it. But it also is your room drier?
Yeah, I mean, there's a change in the weather for sure.
That I know. Michelle was like, no, 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 no. She's shaking her head. We can't do that. But that can play a role. Like this stinks. It's too dry in my nose. But if that was the bloody nose, I'd think it would happen in both nasal passages. But yes, your event was a healing event, and perfectly, and it was a short little bloody nose.
Yeah, no big deal.
So yeah, just a little healing event. And thank you, thank you, thank you. And I took care of an elder that he had a really, really big one. It was after a long, stinky situation. And we actually had to call 911 because I did not know how to. You can lose a lot of blood from your nose.
Yeah, and it's so red. Well, just like in the toilet. Sure.
Show us your Kleenex. I'll show you my toilet.
I know. I was examining it. I'm like, wow, how beautiful, you know, because it is so red.
I took pictures of all my toilet water this morning because
Well,
I want to document this because this is a cool one.
So, you know, my question was, and I guess you're answering it, does it always do symptoms that we have in the body, do they always have a psychological component?
Well,
or can't it just be a change in humidity?
Well, it's not remember, it's not a psychological, it's a biological. So if you're laying there and you're like, oh, it's so dry in here, it's dry in here, your nasal passage is like, oh, I gotta adapt to it. These are biological purposes. And there's either the purpose is in the conflict active symptom, or depending on what part of the brain and what organ, the purpose is either in the conflict active phase or in the healing phase, like rebuilding of tissue. The biological purpose is to be stronger, to not get stuck in the mud next time. As an example, the purpose of acid in the stomach, when we accidentally swallow a bone that goes down, the purpose of that acid is to break down the bone. The purpose of constipation that would follow is to slow that bone down so the acid can break it down so you're not pooping out a bone because that might hurt. So there's a biological purpose. So I know when people, well, not everything's a conflict. They can be little. We wouldn't, like, if we scan our body, every little cubic inch of our body, most of it's in balance right now. We have a couple organs in general that have out of balance symptoms. So when all these parts are in balance, there's no need to adapt. There's no need to change extra cells or break down cells because they're balanced. There's no need to adapt. So my answer, yes, we can be poisoned. We can have deficiencies, but most often we've just had a resolve of some sort. Or if we have a stress symptom, it is a stress. But it's how we're perceiving it. It's like, oh, the barometric, and why it's really critical to separate, because we can create some beliefs that give us bloody noses every time. Oh, it's barometric pressure's down, and then we can literally create some symptoms that just start following what we believe. And when I worked with a lot of gut people, I learned that most.
A lot of what people?
people with Crohn's, colitis,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
digestive. I did that for about
Yeah.
3.5 years.
Right.
And I just heard all their beliefs that they started making up rules about. And I'm like, oh, so you can have 2 cups of yogurt in a day, but that third one you're allergic to. So, yeah, it is.
Well, like what I thought of when you said you were bleeding, you know, it's just the mind can still defaults to, it's probably menopause or something. You know, looking for the physical symptom to attribute.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is the physical symptoms are biological.
They are. Yes.
Yeah. So
most often, I mean, we can do a workout. Like if I go out today and rake all these pine needles from 21 big 50-foot pine trees, do you think I'm going to have some sore muscles tomorrow? That's why I'm not going to do it. Because it snowed this morning. But yeah, but the difference between, and I'll use that as a perfect example. If I do it, and I've actually practiced, if I go out and do it mindfully and go, arms, you're amazing, got it, fun, I will not have sore muscles. But when I'm like, oh, this is heavy and now they're wet and I'm going to be really sore.
Interesting. Yeah. So in that regard, that does involve the psyche.
Yes, it does. Yes. And the unexpected of me going out, like I've done some videos of me shoveling because I love shoveling. And one of them I did a couple years ago.
Shoveling snow?
Shoveling snow, not shoveling shit. I have a really long driveway. It's probably 100 feet, maybe more, 150 feet. And so when it snows like this much, that's a lot of snow to shovel. So first I go out and I just kind of test it, like how heavy is this? So I can get my psyche going. If it's really heavy, I will say that's too much for me and I'll call my neighbor. Because it's going to be an overwhelm, a physical overwhelm. It's going to affect me, my hands, my sight. And some days I'm like, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it very mindfully. And I'm going to do it fun. When the psyche, it can play with not fun things, you'll sail through what people struggle with.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. My chiropractor, an ex-chiropractor, when I didn't know G&M, but when I started going to him, he loved weightlifting and he's like, oh, everybody must weightlift. But he told me I should not shovel. So that was like, oh, I can't shovel. I love shoveling. So that was kind of like, oh, I can't shovel and I can't twist. He's like, that's bad, but you should weightlift. So when I understood the G&M, the self-devaluation of breaking, when you like, oh, this is going to kill my back. This is going to kill my back. I'm like, oh, that's what kills my back. So I tested it one day, one Saturday. We had a outdoor furnace that we filled big blocks of wood. So one day we're cutting down trees and moving like 30, 40, 50 pound blocks of wood. And I put into my head, I'm strong. And I was just playing in the woods and I'm like, I'm so strong today. I did it for 2-3 hours with my partner at the time. I had no back pain the next day.
Oh.
And I did it another time shoveling, same thing. I was like, okay, there it is. That's my proof.
Makes sense.
Makes sense for sure. Okay. Where are we at? How's your breakfast, Jessica? Are you in the school? Are you on a break today?
Yeah, the girls are out of school this week, so.
Okay. What is the month? Like, where are we in the calendar year?
October.
October.
What kind of vacation is it?
We do 5 weeks on and 1 week off.
Okay.
Oh, that's okay.
Susan. Did you have a judgment about that, Susan?
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, it upsets everybody's. You gotta find childcare, if you're working, or something.
Yeah, that's why I don't work. No, that's why you don't put your kids in this kind of school if you don't want
Right.
Right. Right. And you work at the school. So you're on the same school. Not?
Well, I don't have an official job. I do a lot of work.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good, good, good. All right. Any questions? Any commentary? Anything that you want to share about this conversation or another topic that's on your mind?
I just will say, since I'm on here, I appreciate it and I appreciate your perspective, Deanna, and I am learning how to I'm just learning how to navigate and not brace against or perceive the healings as dangerous or scary. And that is, a big aspect of my whole life, of just being scared of pain and getting myself into the hanging healings, because when the healing starts and there's pain or there's sensations that then are scary, then I just can see now how that really looped everything. And so it's taken a long time. I mean, if whatever, in your perspective, everyone's perspective of how long it takes is unique. So it really hasn't, but it feels like freaking forever. But, it's taken as long as it's taken for me to start to really get traction and understand that this really is a long investment in changing mindset. And I'm finally allowing that to be the case, as opposed to just, oh, I did it once. Okay, I should be fine.
Right. No,
Yeah, I think we're still learning how to be in the body.
Uh-huh.
We think we are the body.
Yeah.
Well, I look in the mirror and there's me. It's like, not really.
no.
And letting go of the fact that we think we know what the body's doing, or that we think we know what's good for the body. So that's something I really get out of my mind and stop thinking so much, because that was just how I protected myself, was thinking so much. So yeah, I appreciate all of you and all of your perspectives, and I have learned to welcome a little bit more the sensation and the fear. And yeah, even I'll just share a little. I'm really personally working on my cycle and my anticipation of all of my PMS symptoms. And so this week I just started my period this morning. So last week I tend to get very rageful and have a lot of anger that I'm learning how to just allow and process. And so last week I was pretty angry, and I had some healing stuff happen with my husband around that. It was a good learning opportunity, and I kind of had a shift in perspective. And so then last night I had my headache before my period was top notch, really, really strong. And so that's just a little example of okay, cool. We're really getting at it and allowing it to be there. And the fact that is a big thing that used to scare me. And so it was another opportunity to just face the fear and know that I'm okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so tricky because we are so human.
Yep.
And we have all these nerves that register a lot of interesting sensations. And it's not an easy cycle to break.
I'm curious, Jessica.
Say it again, Barb?
Well, I was just gonna say, I was just curious. I don't know. I can't break the cycle.
Yet.
Jessica, how many years were you cycling? Couple? A few?
In my intent, like in this really big.
Yes.
It's been almost 4 years.
Doing what?
I'm just
cycling in pain. The
Yeah.
symptom being the conflict that keeps you looping.
Was it like super intense pain? Like, because like I'm used to pain, as working out, an athlete, everything. It's like, okay, yeah, pain, no big deal, but like pain is beyond.
Yeah, it was in the beginning it was debilitating. I couldn't leave the house. I just around like a zombie. And it's a different kind of pain in the sense of like, at least what I was dealing with just for my head. It was just.
The pain was in your head?
Yeah.
Physically. It was physically on her face.
Yeah, like as if someone was crushing me from the inside, or they were like squeezing my brain and my eyes all the time. And it's still kind of there, but like I'm actually living my life now.
Yeah, which involves, I think, what I tend to default to these days is just observing. It's one of the first permaculture principles: observe and interact. I'm just observing myself being this way. It's not who I am. I haven't always been this way, and I'm not always going to be this way. I'm not always going to be in the body. You finally think whatever you're supposed to. Oh, now I have a master's degree in how to be a human in this body, and then it's like, well, time to go. Because that's not the main event. We have to remember that we're just observing ourselves being a certain way, and identify with that, with being the observer. It's much easier because I feel like, as we go through changes, we're always trying to integrate. How does this? We're always trying to find that coherence. But sometimes it's like, there's no time for that. It's just like people that are always saying, well, what did you eat?
Right.
Like it's all about what you eat all the time. That's the body. It's like, what about what you're eating here? Because it's not going to, it's like, be careful what you spend your time on. I'm talking to myself. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, because it's not the lasting pursuit. You're not going to have this car for the rest of your life. I mean, yeah, you are, but it's like my latest mantra response to things is, it's all in the realm of the temporary. It's temporary. It's temporary. Some things are not. Love is not. The feelings, beauty that you have, that you invest in, that's not temporary. That's a soul investment. And I would rather pursue those matters of the heart where, once again, the heart fulfills. You feel a fulfillment rather than chasing something, chasing the temporary and trying to fix the temporary, because you're never going to catch up. It's always going to be, there's always something. Because, I went through periods, I still say this and it's bad, I shouldn't, but it's like sometimes when I have symptoms on top of what I normally have, I go, oh God, I wish I just had my normal symptoms, my normal anxieties, my regular, yeah. Because it's like, why do I have to have additional stuff? It seems like for a while I was saying that. And so what happens? You have additional stuff, Well, it's like nothing is normal. So many things are just, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess just identifying with the observer rather than the one that's experiencing the pain. It's like, really, is that all you are? No, you're much more,
And Susan, that's absolutely it. And it takes for me and like my personality and my conditioning and my growing up, I've seen that it has taken me a lot of experiences and a lot of time to really chip away at getting to that point.
Yeah, it doesn't just happen overnight.
No, in the beginning, I used to just grapple and be so angry that I couldn't get there, that I could kind of see it, but it was just like, I don't get it. How do you do it? And it's now looking back, I can see like, okay, it is just baby steps, and you are just building a bridge one brick at a time. And that was infuriating for a long time, but I had to be with the anger also and be with the one who felt angry about it because they're valid too.
And the grieving. I mean, I don't know what your situation is like, but just grieving what my life was, and it may not be that way again.
And a lot of what I learned too was that so much of that grief actually was coming from my mind creating stories rather than staying in the present moment. I was projecting so much into the future of, I'm never going to be this again. I've lost all these things. And that was just a story. Because when I came back to the present moment, time and time again, this is almost 4 years in. And really, let's be honest, like it's really only been in the last 10 months that I've actually been able to start this journey. So for 3 years, I was just kind of spiraling, which no, I wasn't spiraling. The foundation was being laid. I just wasn't yet conscious of it. So really in the last year, things finally clicked in consciously and logically. And I felt like, okay, I'm actually putting steps in at a conscious level now, whereas a lot of it was unconscious before that.
Thanks for talking about that.
Yeah, it's really fucking hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard, and it's really brave, and it takes so much courage. And I get
it takes courage to be here. It takes courage to take on a body. It takes courage to take on a life. And we all did so with intention. Mm-hmm. And now we want to just, I don't like this part, or I don't, it's a package deal. And courage is an incredible thing. And courage is fear that has set its prayers, so to speak. Courage is acknowledging the fear and then going forward anyways and not letting it become you. It's like stay with the thing that's acknowledging.
And that takes practice to get to that.
It does.
And
it does. But, it also takes, like Deanna's a great proponent of playfulness. It takes being playful because you look at kids. I forgot, I heard something the other day. It was an amazing story about this kid that had some physical thing going on, but he just ignored it because he didn't want to stop playing. That's how we are when we're kids. We're like, you fall down and you got blood and everything, but I had too much fun. I'm having too much fun. I don't have time to focus on that. And that's kind of, we do need to be in a state of awe, I think, because if we really get down to it, it's like there's something that's interested in your life. You're interested in your life. Be interested, because it's just fascinating. I mean, I had a dream the other morning. It was in REM state. It was early in the morning. And I swear to God, it was so real, because I was dreaming in real time that I was on the floor, I was sleeping, and someone came, my friend came and started laying on the floor, like kind of in the spoon position. And I was saying to him, I said, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you're here." Because sometimes he comes over and it's early in the morning, I'm not even awake yet. And I'll open my eyes, I'm like, ah. But this was like, I'm laying on the floor, I'm in my apartment. I had this, a real experience where he just came in and I just was saying, I'm so glad you're here. It was so phenomenal to me. I felt so much love, not necessarily romantic love for him or anything, but I was like, I'm so glad for this presence. And then I started questioning, is this real? It's so lucid. And so you got to open your eyes and figure out if this is real. Like, of course it's real. I opened my eyes. I could not believe that I was in my bed, because I never lay on the floor anyways. That's really a dream. So, but all day I kept saying, God Almighty, it's so incredible to be alive. And we forget that. But it's like, it's so phenomenal. I can't create that. That was such an experience that was happening because I was alive, and I was just so in awe of how fooled I was. And it served as a metaphor, because I realized it wasn't really him that I was, I'm so glad you're here, I love you so much. It wasn't that. It was presence itself. I don't want to take that for granted. And we all need that. We all need to be present. I mean, to me, I would call it God, the presence of God. That's the most important thing that we need to feel, that we're not just alone and dealing with symptoms all the time, but we have to take that awe of like with us, I think. I don't know, I'm just kind of all over the place now, but anyways.
Okay. No, I just want to acknowledge that I'm playful with my symptoms, because most of my life is pretty easygoing. When somebody has pain, I like to share this, because you can't go from fear to joy. There's just too much,
like,
and nobody
even say that to someone like that.
Well, Barb, we're talking to everybody. So you're taking whatever piece. We are not saying just go out and dance with your symptoms. For many people, that is a shift. That is something like, oh, because dwelling in them is not, everybody has their different techniques. But what Susan is getting at is the witnessing of, this is where I am. I call it the acceptance of something, and this is where I am. Because once you accept it, you notice it, accept it, make whatever brain connections you have, then you're there. And whatever feeling comes from that, accepting that and not punishing yourself for that, because punishing it brings you down some levels. Accepting at least keeps you on that level. And if you can accept and do a gentle change of perspective, like this word, I have a definition for courage. It's I know I can get through this. I don't know how, but I know I can. So if that is your mantra that just brings you to courage and a little bit higher neutral, like, okay, I'm neutral about this pain. I'm going to try to be, this sucks. I'm going to be real. I'm going to let you know that psyche, body, I don't like the feeling of this pain, but I know that pain is healing always. So I am going to just try to be with it the best that I can. So that acceptance. And sometimes we have to laugh at ourselves when we get too much in our head. So if you're like, hey, like you want to play, I don't know, but everybody's in their different place. So you just do what you can. Susan? And
I was going to say, sometimes
I have a couple commitments.
Sometimes we think healing means I'll get back to where I was. It doesn't, I don't think so. I mean, this idea of loss, that can be such an emotional trigger for people. Oh God, I've lost so much. I used to be like this, and now I've lost my ability to. One of the most helpful things I've understood is that you never lose who you truly are. That's what I'm trying to say. We're not just these physical beings. We're bigger, who we really are. I mean, we don't even fully incarnate. I don't think.
Yeah.
There's more potential. We incarnate with what we need for this particular lifetime that we're going to live out. But to think that you have lost, oh, I lost so much, it's like, oh, you have to run. Thank you.
Good to run.
I do. Thank you, guys.
You're
Good
welcome.
day.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I should shut up. Okay.
So everybody's going to do their best. I mean, everybody just try to just notice where you are. Try to acknowledge that whatever you're going through is purposeful because your body is not broken. My body is not broken. It is trying to repair. It's trying to get me to the finish line, and I will do my best at being patient with it. That's all I can do. I can only do my best.
And you wanna lose. I mean, some things you do lose along the way. That's okay. It's like wrinkles. I read this quote, and wrinkles should indicate where smiles have been. It's beautiful to look at it like that.
Yep. Yep.
So the loss and the healing, as a matter of getting back to sometimes you don't get things back. It's
and
the
sometimes
natural.
you don't get things back because there's something better. There's something different
Exactly.
that is a new purpose. That is a new reason why you're living. So I believe there's no accidents. Your journey is your journey. And so just try to be with yourself and just either maintain the acceptance and be like a caterpillar and a chrysalis. Okay, this is my chrysalis time.
Right.
And if you want to add a little bit of silliness, a little bit of sarcasm. I always say the psyche doesn't recognize sarcasm. Like, okay, you can get over this anytime. Even that little play with the frustration raises it from I'm powerless to, okay, I'm not giving up. Just that a little bit more energy to it.
Courage.
And yes, bringing you toward courage and your finish line. So just do your best. That's all you can do. And I love our conversations. I'm very thankful for our Monday calls. It sets the stage. So nice to have Deanna here. And reach out if you need anything. And do something this week that just ups your vibe, even if it's a smidget.
Hang in there, Barb.
Yep.
You're okay. You're more okay than you think. I mean,
She is.
hang in there. We love you. A lot of love here for you.
All right. Love that dog next to you. Okay.
I'm having trouble with her too. Anyway.
Okay. Much
Thank
love to all of you.
Thank you, Deanna.
Thank you, Deanna.
You're welcome.
And everyone, have a great day.
Yes.
Thank you, Susan.